So next, okay, good. So talking about Prettier, I said let's go to extensions, look for Prettier, and install it. There'll be an install button here. So what it does is probably when you're writing code, maybe JavaScript or any of this code, and it looks somewhat like this. It doesn't look nice, does it? Doesn't look nice, right? Now compare that with, let me get uh, the code. It's the code. Okay, compare that with this. Right? This looks nice, right? And it looks arranged. And basically, kind of tells you where something is starting and where something is ending, right? This body now, say it starts here, it ends here. Container starts here, ends here, right? If we decide to do this like this, um, we do it like this, sometimes you're going to be confused as to what's happening. But then Prettier helps to arrange it depending on the rules that you've set. So I want us to be able to achieve that later on when we're already writing JavaScript with Prettier. So I want us to install Prettier. I want us to install, let me see, HTML boilerplate. Then, uh, so one thing that helps you know what to install, you can install just about anything here, but one thing that helps you know what to install is looking at the downloads, basically. If you see this download, you see that 4.2 million persons have downloaded this um, these extensions, right? Or these extensions have gone through 4.2 million downloads. Now, if you also see the reviews, it says 4.5 or 5, right? This review is also 4.5, 4.5, but this one is 3.5. Although there are 24 million downloads, but 3.5. You can also download this because 3.5 isn't bad. But you see this one, this is 1.5. So this is bad. It means people are not enjoying it, right? So, but then you also want to download just one because some of these things, they do the same thing and they can end up clashing. So you look at all of them and say, okay, which one do I download? Look at the number of people that have downloaded it as well as the um, ratings on it. Now, when you click on it, sometimes it also gives you an example of what would happen. Can you see what's happening? It's giving you hints, right? So it's giving you hints of what to type, and that's what this does. So I'm going to install this. I'm going to install it in a bit. Then I can decide to look for something in CSS as well and install. I'm waiting for this to complete installation. It's completed. I can decide to look for something in CSS. And let's see, CSS peak, 6.7 million, 3.5. Tailwind. So in case you want to do Tailwind, you can install this. For matter of CSS, beautify CSS. This is okay. So this is 6.7 million, which means a lot of persons. So let's check this out. Let's see what it does. This extension adds support for go to definition, go to symbol, and workspace. Right? So let's see an example or some. So it says you can see a CSS by just looking at the comments or by just looking at the name of that CSS. So you might want to install this later on. So you can check it out as well. I will explain how to use it later on when we get to the CSS part. All right. So, so as not to dwell much on this, let's see. We've talked on what is VS Code. We've talked on download and install VS Code, overview of the VS Code interface. We've talked on that. We've not touched on one thing in the VS Code interface. I'm going to just delete all of this. One last thing in the VS Code interface, is the console. We'll use this later on. Not now. But this is what you call the console, right? It's a terminal of our system. It's like that's commands that you can use to do different things. But do not worry about it right now. When it gets to that point, you'll now talk on it, right? So just the terminal of our application. If you're using a Windows system, you can just type CMD and you get the same thing. I'm going to show you. You can type Windows and CMD and you get the same thing. The terminal where you can do almost the same thing, basically. Right. There are commands that you can pass in and do different stuff, right? So don't worry about that. We'll talk on that. Now, that's for VS Code. GitHub for version control. So far, do we have any questions? Thumbs up if no questions. All right, good. Now, so I'll talk on GitHub, but I'll leave it for the last part. Now, web browsers and developer tools. Web browsers and developer tools. I'm going to drop this in the chat. Recommendations or recommended extensions for you to install on your VS Code. So you can install them later on. I'm dropping it in the charts. Yeah, so there you go. You can install them later on. All right, now coming back to web browsers. We talked about web browsers and we have some web browsers, right? This is how, as a front-end developer, this is how you're going to be testing your website. And I'm going to show you that in a bit when we talk about introduction to HTML. But use browsers to test your website. I use Chrome, I use Edge, and I use Firefox. You can decide to use any one of them, basically. Any browser would work for testing. But most times, people prefer Chrome because of its developer tools. By developer tools, this is what we mean. I'm going to press, let me not press the shortcut. Let me go here. So you press these three dots, which means options. Go to more tools, and you come down here to developer tools. So this, as a developer, this place is more or less like your playground, right? Most people use browsers and they do not know of developer tools, right? Developer tools is where you see some things that happens with your website, right? And I'm going to show you some of these things. I'll start from elements. From elements, it shows you the HTML code of your website, basically. And most times people use this to do fraud because you can see things on your website and you can change things on the website. But then some websites are secure that you can only change the front end, but you can't change any other thing, right? So now let me show you what I mean. This is you can see that as I'm moving, it's moving across the website, right? See, when I hover on this, it's hovering on this part of my screen to see that's what that part is saying. If I keep going down, so that's that. Then the main content, the main content, if I open this up, and I open this up, and I want this part, okay? I open this up, and I open this up, and I open this up. I have this text. You can see this text here. Download Visual Studio, right? Now I can change this text and say, welcome to my website. And you can see it has changed. I can close this and what I have is welcome to my website. I could just change most of these things here and do a screenshot and send to somebody and say, oh, I've changed.
Uh, Sorry, but I'm not seeing your screen. It's just blank.
Can anyone else see my screen?
I can't.
Okay, that's Chidozie, you can't see my screen. Um, Austin, can you see my
I can
screen?
I can see the screen.
Oh, okay. Chidozie, are you using a laptop or a phone?
A phone.
You're using a phone, okay. Maybe that's why. Um, okay. Can you go close to Austin so that at least you use Austin's laptop for now? Or is Austin also using a phone?
He's using a laptop.
Okay, so go close to him and use his phone for now. All right. So you can mute yourself for now. All right, awesome. So people can do this, and let me do something else. Let me do something else. Website. I need a website. Okay, okay. Let me go to Binance. Let me go to Binance. Share like this. And then okay. I need a I need a I need a I need a website with numbers. A website with numbers. Okay, you know what? Let's just use this, right? So it has some numbers, right? So I could now do this as no, what? Let me use Skillfort actually. Skillfort has some numbers. Someone could do this with Skillfort. So these are some numbers, right? And say, oh, I want to change this number here and zip 10 plus here and call it 20 million plus. And then something that's just 10, I've now changed to 20 million, right? One thing is if I press reload, it's going to go back to 10 because it's going to go back to where I have posted it and say, okay, what's supposed to be here? It's going to go back to 10. But the arm of doing this is when someone does this, they can now um, you can now do a screenshot and say, oh, these are the number of clients that we have. We have a lot of clients and everything, and probably um, use that to carry out fraud. or in their bank accounts, they can now go to the developer settings of their bank accounts on their browser, change the balance and say, oh, screenshot, this is how much I have in my bank account, right? But then again, it's just about being sure. So if someone sends you a screenshot, you just probably want to check for yourself and say, okay, what could have happened? Let me go to the website and see for myself if that's what it actually says. So that's what Elements is. You can also change the styles, not just the text. You can change the styles of this place and say, oh, I don't want it to be blue again. I want it to be orange. Can you see that? So you see almost everything about the website. But all of these things, they are not saved anywhere. It's just you playing around with the website. So you can use this to look at different websites and see what they did, what kind of codes they wrote, and how it worked out, basically, right? So when we start talking about more things in the HTML and CSS, you understand some of the things that are written here, basically. Now, console is for like JavaScript. They drop information, things that are happening, right? For JavaScript information, we'll talk about this when we go into JavaScript. Sources talks about the pages of your application. So Skillforce, we have the index page, we have the main.js page, polyfills.js with some of the code, styles.css with some of the code, as you can see. We have some other sources as well here, right? So, but let me tell you something, right? The part that you totally be interested in is Elements Console Network for now, right? These are other parts, they are good for developers, but you don't need to disturb yourself about them. I will come back to network. Performance tells you how your site is doing. If I reload this now, tells you how your site is doing. So largest content footprint. So it took 5.96 seconds for the largest thing to be pulled. Cumulative layout shifts 0.03, which is good, but you see that this is red, right? It means that I need to improve this website. It says it's poor. That means I need to work on this website to do some more, to improve some more of the content so that it comes out faster, basically, right? So memory, much isn't here. From some other websites, there is some here again. Applications, so we have storage, local storage, we'll use this later on to save things. Session storage, we'll use this later on. Index DB, cookies, not sure if we'll use this, but let's see. Shared storage, some of these things we'll use later on, right? So let's leave them for now. Now, going back to network, I already used network earlier on, right? The good thing about network is it tells you where your website or where a particular website is pulling things from, right? Let me, and the speed at which it's pulling them. Let me close everything now and go to the about page. And you see that it's pulling some things, right? And most of the things that is pulled are images. Okay, then let's pull one more thing. What is this? Let's see. For analytics. Okay, so this for analytics. So you put that one last thing for analytics. The rest of the stuff are images that I pulled, and if you check them, you see some are my images. My image and some are other images. This is my image. That's this image, you pulled it. Then this is Netlify. Let me see. That's this Netlify. This is Paystar. This is Go 45. That's this. This is auxiliary. So all of the things that I pulled, just the network tells you the things that I pulled. But this is not everything I pulled. I guess the reason why I did this is because it has already pulled some things because I didn't need to pull all of them. But let me go again and pull everything from scratch. And you see everything that is going to be pulled. Oh, you didn't pull everything from scratch. Let me do this. Let me remove the screen. So like, it's going to pull a lot of stuff. I see it's pulling a lot of stuff. Good. So now let's see. It went to the website that I suggested, which is skillful.org, and this is the website basically. After I got the website, now I'm going to use JavaScript file to pull the contents. Okay, this do analytics. Then this another JavaScript file, another JavaScript file, another JavaScript file. So this one is from my website. Then pulled some other things, Cloudflare, styles. It just pulled everything that is needed. Images as well. Let me check the response. Preview images as well. Pulled images, as you can see. Pulled images, pulled from YouTube as well, right? And you can see here some of the time that it's taken to pull things. This is where it started from. And in this part, it pulled all of this four. Then it moved here and it pulled just this one. Then it moved here and pulled all of these guys. So it's showing you the time. Then, so basically, you can use this to now see the speed of your application. This is just about a few milliseconds. Then at about 10,000 milliseconds, it pulls all of this. Then at about 80 something thousand milliseconds, it pulled this IPL, which, let me see what this is. HubSpot. Okay, so this is something else. I'm trying to, oh, okay, that's this guy. As you can see. Yeah, this chat box, as you can see, it pulls this chat box at, that's the last time. Oh, it didn't even stop there, pull some other things. Okay, that's because I clicked the chat box, now pull some of all these other things, as you can see, basically, right? So basically, it's a view of what your application is doing, right? You can now do some things like preserve the log, so it doesn't delete, disable cache, so it deletes. Then you can check speed of your distance. So right now I'm saying nothing should be stopping. But if I say, oh, I want to do this with 3G, I want to open it with 3G to see how fast it will use to pick it up. So you see that it's taking some time. See? So we'll stop at that IPL when that IPL comes. And the IPL, see now, we already got into 16,000 milliseconds. The last one was about 10,000 milliseconds. So IPL came at about, let me see, at about 30,000 milliseconds. Let me see. Okay. Came about 20 something thousand milliseconds, 25,000 milliseconds years a year, right? So the previous slide came at about 9,000 milliseconds. When I came coming about 25,000, which means times 3 of the time it took when I was using 5G, or in 3G, it came slower. So this gives you insight as to how your website is operating. I don't know if you understand that. We can just use a thumbs up. No thumbs up. Does that mean that we don't understand it? If you have questions, we can ask, basically. We
I
can ask
don't
any
I don't
question.
understand.
All right. Don't worry about it, really, right? I'm just showing you what is available to you, right? But over time, when we go from step by step, we understand it. But just know that if you have a website, and you come to your network tab here in your developer tools, how do we get here again? We'll click on these 3 boxes, go to more tools, go to developer tools. It's going to come up. Then you see all these other options. In network shows you the number of things that your website is calling when you go to a website, right? Let me use something simple. Let me go to google.com. If you notice now, you see that the website is fetching things. All these things is what this browser is calling to get what you need, right? It's calling all these things to get what you need from the backend or from the place where you have posted it. So apparently, even Skillforce is better than Google.com because Skillforce was 5 point something, but Google is 6 point something. So I guess I don't need to worry myself. So now coming back here, you see that the first thing it called is that Google.com. Now, after calling Google.com, Google.com would have responded that, oh, you need all of these things. So it called this, called this, called this, and all of this it was using to get information on. So this is the icon. So this icon itself is something that it fetched from somewhere, right? Let me see. Let me see something else that we have called that we have listened. So some of these things you wouldn't really understand because there are some of these code because they are either not front-end code or they perform different things. So don't worry about them. I'm just looking for things that you can visualize or things that you can see. I think the only image here, there's also this one, or I can't see it, but the only image, okay, see it here. This image here, that's this image, right? It fetched this image, and the network tab shows you that it fetched it. So now let me even show you an advantage of this network tab. If, for example, you see all of these things, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, right? If, for example, one of them did not come, the response will not, the status will not be 200. It will be something else. You can now go there and say, why is it something else? When you click on it, you can now see the response and say, this is the reason, or this is why. Then you can now say, oh, okay, this is how I'm going to fix it, basically, right? So this network tab just shows you what your website is calling. And if there's an issue with your website, 2 places that you have to go to, or 3 actually, elements, shows you some of these texts. Console, it shows you error if there are errors. Like see this one now, see error. Permissions policy violation. Download is not allowed in this document, right? So this is an error, but it doesn't affect the website. Then network shows you the things that are pulled and what their status is. Anything that is 222222, it means that there's no issue. Everything is fine, basically, right? And that's just what it's the browser development tools does, nothing else. But don't worry, over time, we would now start looking at it again. Little by little, don't worry about it. We would start with elements, then we'll now move on to console before we go back to network. Do you understand? Don't worry about it if you don't totally understand it for now. But this is just how it is. Maybe when I upload the video, you can now look at it again and play with it. Just go to any website and play it. Don't worry, you're not breaking the website. Just go there, play with it, change things, do things. Don't worry about it. You're not breaking the website. Everything that you're doing would be happening just on your system and not on that end. So that's how you get to understand what's happening. Do you get it again, Austin?
Yes, I understand like this.
All right, thank you. So now finally, let's now we've spent 1 hour 19 minutes. So let's just try to wrap up. I don't want to flood you people with information, right? So finally, let's just do an introduction to HTML, right? Like I said, I'm just going to copy some code. Like I said, we're going to be using Notepad. Where's my Notepad? Okay, here it is. We're going to be using Notepad. Some of this stuff. I'm going to paste this here. Just let me zoom in. Okay, so This is our first view of an HTML code. Let's ask ourselves, how does it feel? What does it look like? What are we saying? Is this scary? What's the issue? Let's comment now. I want us to comment. What are we saying? Is this scary? What's the
It's
issue?
like it's not English.
Yeah. But then, you know the funny thing, when you now start looking at it more and more and more and more and more, you would start understanding it. Because everything here describes something, right? So don't worry about it. Everything here describes something. We're going to start from the top and get to the base. And that would make you understand what's happening. Let's start from the top. You have these angle brackets and these angle brackets. HTML has a way of starting every tag. These things are called tags. They're called tags, right? Let me see if I can remember how to do comments in HTML tags. Right? I think that's how to do comments. I can't remember, but we'll find out later. So these things, anything that you see that have angle brackets opening, angle brackets closing, it's called tags, right? Everywhere, angle brackets opening, angle brackets closing, angle brackets opening, angle brackets closing, angle brackets opening. This is the closing way. And you notice that some of them have nothing in them, like this head, while some have some things in them, like this. Some have more than one thing, some have one, some have more than one. Name, content, all the way down here, basically. And even these contents have other things inside, with initial scale, basically, right? Then some have nothing, like I said, right? But they are called tags. Now, another thing you should know is that with tags, there are opening and closing tags. They are opening and closing tags, right? So this is an opening tab, and this is a closing tab. So for every tab that you have an opening tab, you must have a closing tab. You must have a closing tab. But some tabs are self-closing tabs. By self-closing tab, I mean like this one. It doesn't have a closing tab. So you can either close it like this, leave it like this, or you can just put the tag this with this thing. Now, so this is how you close a tab. Opening brackets and slash, forward slash. That's how you close the tab. If you notice, there's opening bracket forward slash after this closing tab here. Opening bracket forward slash, this is a closing tab of this. This head is a closing tab of this. Title is a closing tab, opening bracket forward slash. And that's just the rules surrounding it. Don't even worry yourself. Now, this is also the closing tab of this, basically. Opening bracket forward slash, right? So if I say, okay, let me do another one, I want to write something else, but this time is a P. You don't just put anything. I would explain tags later on. So, but there's something called a P tag. This is the opening one. I have to close it. Close, opening bracket, slash, P, close. And then I'll close it and I can now put whatever I want to put inside. This is a right. Good. Now we have this. So I want to save this now. Save, Control S. I want to save in videos. I want to call it front and first class .html. You must always close it to .html. For HTML files, you must always close it to .html. Now, if I go to my video place, let me go to my video place. This is it. This is my video file. And where is it? Frontend first class. If I double click on this, it opens a browser. Opens the browser and we have this. Okay, we have this. And we have this browser. So let me just even put both of them in different places. Let me reduce them. Okay, so now this is not a comment. This is not how to do comments. Hold on. Trying to remember how to do comments. Give me a second. Comments. Double asterisk. It's not double asterisk. It's not double asterisk. Something else. No, it's not double asterisk. It's not supposed to show. That's how I know, right? That it's false. It's not supposed to show. So give me a second. It's been a while. I wrote this. So I'm going to test it with this. Yeah, I got it totally wrong. I got it totally wrong. So it's this. And don't worry, we'll talk about comments later on. Well, okay, now save this and reload this. Okay, good. Right. So as you can see, hello world, which is this guy, is showing on the screen. Now this is a paragraph, which is this guy showing on the screen. So what's happening? Why is every other thing not showing? What's happening? Why is everything not showing? The reason why every other thing is not showing is because of two things. One, this is what you call HTML boilerplates, right? So if I remove this, let me just cut this off. If I remove this and save this and reload this, you have nothing on your screen, right? So this is a boilerplate, like the cage that is holding everything that you want to show on your browser, right? So this part of the code, you can just copy and paste it. You can just copy and paste it anytime you want to start the code. There are other things that you can add, but this is the boilerplate. The boilerplate now goes like this. Doc type, which means document type. What's this document type? Document type is HTML. Now, okay, we know it's HTML. So now this is the opening tag for HTML. This is the closing tag. Now it says lang, which means language. What's the language? EN means English. So this website is in English. Then we have ed, which means the header. Now everything inside this header is the information about the website, right? UTF-8 is the format of the website. Viewport, which means the port of the website. So everything on this website, I want it to be in this view of my browser. Then width, which means the device width. That's the width of my device. That's from here to here, or in this case, from here to here. That's where I want my contents to be. Initial scales 1.0 is saying that, yes, just stay there in that browser. And I'll show you the difference later on when we enter CSS, why you need to add this. Because when we remove it, it affects your website. I'll show you the difference when we get to CSS. Title, which means the title of the page. If you notice this page title, see it here, right? If I change it to scale force, it's save, and reload here, you can see it has changed this scale force here, the browser, right? So if I go to another website like this, see all this download Visual Studio, download this, they were put in the title of the HTML tags. Sublime text, Google, all of this were put in the title. That they were all put here in the HTML tag, right? So when you do that, it just affects it here. Then later on, we'll now talk about the logos that people add to. Let me see. Hold on, let me get it. We'll talk about these logos. This logo here, this logo here, this logo here, this logo here. This one does not have a logo. Yeah, it doesn't have a logo, so they didn't put a logo. The same thing as here, no logo yet, but we'll talk about it later on. So this is the boilerplate. Now, everything inside this head, like I said, it's just information about the website. It doesn't show here. So even if I type gibberish here and save and reload, oh, it did show actually, right? But then it's not supposed to show because you're not supposed to type it there, right? Because you can't even do anything with it if you type it there, right? But then if I type gibberish here and it will show, right? Basically, right. So now I'm going to put back code, our text, hello world, and this is a paragraph. And you can see that hello world is bigger than this is a paragraph, right? The reason for that is, give me a second. Okay, before we talk about that, remember, like I said, the body is where you put everything. This body, there's an opening body and a closing body. In between is where you put everything about everything. Now, the difference between hello world and this is a paragraph. This is a header, right? H1 is a header. H means header 1, right? And header 1 is like the biggest. There are other H1s. There are other headers, sorry. There's H2, H3, H4, H4, H5, H6. And let's see what they look like. There's no H7, so it stops at H6. If I save this and reload this, you'll notice and see the difference now. See that it reduces in size for all of them, right? Header 1 is the biggest, header 6 is the smallest, but it's all bold. Paragraph is bigger than header 6, but header 6 is bolder than the paragraph. This is the size of the paragraph, and there's no P1, P2, P3. Paragraph is paragraph, basically. We'll talk about where to put headers in your code later on. This is just start, and you can play with it later on. There are also, let me see. There are also other attributes like anchor tags. I'm going to copy this and paste this here. This is an anchor tag. I will talk about it now. Let me reduce size so that we can see it a bit. Okay, good. If I save this and you can see that it will show here as clicking it. And notice the difference between, let me even zoom this in so I will see this. Notice the difference between my mouse on this other one. On this one, it shows this an edit icon that you can use to highlight, right? On this one, it shows a click icon that I should click. You can also highlight. Let me see. You can also highlight, but then it's focused on click because this is a clickable text, right? Now, let me see. Okay, you're good. Now, it has, let me break it down like this so I can see the differences. It has the opening tab, which is this A, and the closing tab. That's noted. We know this already. We need to have those two, right? But it also have things inside of it. These are called attributes. Right? Let me put the comments. Attributes. And I think at this point, we know what comments are. Comments are things that you can write in your code, but they will not show in the website. They will not show because you just put them there to know what you're doing, basically. Right? They are called comments. And for HTML, this is how you write a comment for HTML. Angle brackets, exclamation mark, dash, dash, what you want to write, close it with dash, dash, close brackets, right? So these are attributes. The href attributes tells the anchor tag where you want to go to. This target blank tells the anchor tab that if I click on it, I want it to go to another page, not on this page. I'll show you the difference. Let me show you the difference. If I remove it now, save, I'll save by pressing Ctrl S. If I save, you'll see this place here. You see that it's loading now. I've saved, basically. Now, if I reload the screen, nothing happens, nothing changes. But if I click on click me, You see, it goes to another page, but on the same page, right? Now let me add it back. That target blank, targets underscore blank, right? If I click it back, let me save it first before I reload. Good. If I click on it now, you see what we're. Can you see? It created a new page and opened it there. So this thing, what is happening here, just gives you an insight as to what these people are doing here, right? Let me see. Now, so this box now was created using an A tag, right? Because when I click it, it takes me somewhere. The same thing as this docs. Let me even see it. Let me even see it inside their code. If I go here, so previously I was just going into the code one by one, clicking step by step. But if I want to go directly to a particular place, I can just click this arrow and go to wherever I want to go, click on it, and it shows me, right? So you can see now, it says anchor tag, closing anchor tag. ID, we'll talk about IDs later. href, which is what we have here, href. For them, they just did /docs. And the reason for this is because where they want to go to is inside their website, right? But where I want to go to in my code here is outside my website. So that's why you notice that they didn't put that target blank because it's inside their website, right? So imagine now, let me do something. Okay, first off, let me press this. Notice that it's going to inside their website, it's loading on the same page, right? And it went there. Now, if I go back, I don't want to do this. I change it to page. Oh, it's still a page. So now I want to do something. I want to change their code a bit so that I can edit. Let's see. Okay. Let me add target blank. Targets blank, right? So if you notice the other option even, right? There's parent, self, and top, right? You can test this out later on to see what they all do. But I'm going to use blank, target blank, and how do I say it? Okay, I've saved it now. Right. So if I click on doc now, I see it opened it in a new page, basically, right? So that's what target blank was. Yeah, so that's just anchor tags for you. So right now we've touched on the opening tabs and closing tabs, comments, HTML, boilerplates, header tags, paragraph tags, and anchor tags. Do you have any questions on this?
I have something I want to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when we want to start writing your code, that your HTML started with that um opening tag, yeah, opening tag, then exclamation mark, then doc type. So is it not the same thing with that attribute? That
Oh,
comment,
okay,
that
this
comment.
one.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you notice, this is just opening bracket and exclamation mark. If I now
Mm-hmm.
add dash dash, do you see that it's no longer colored? Because now I have commented it out. And then if I save it, it might still work. No, not this one. Yeah, it might still work. But then the design, the boilerplate knows that you have to suggest that this is an HTML tag, right? So removing the dash dash brings back the color and save. And can you see the difference? It knows that something else has happened, right? So that's just the difference between this opening bracket and exclamation mark, and then this other one. This one is for comments. If you notice the coloring, see that every other color is bright, but these comments are dull. It means that they are not supposed to be there, but they are just there so that you see what is happening.
Okay, so all those other colors, they have their own function in the page.
Yeah. So the colors, right? In VS Code, the colors do not. How do I explain this now? These colors are not specific, right? In VS Code, let me copy that stuff to VS Code. Right? So you notice the colors here now. So this is blue and light blue, but now it's orange and whatever here, right? It's orange, basically, right? So the colors are not specific. So the colors here might not be the color in Sublime Text or brackets, but then the colors just tells you difference between tags, attributes, and actual text. You see, actual text are white, attributes are orange, tags are green, I think. Yeah. Now in VS Code, actual texts are white, attributes are light blue, tags are blue, right? So the colors just shows you the difference so that you can actually see them. Basically, you can actually see them and work with them. Now let me try something else. Hold on. Let me take this to a new page. Okay, still colored. Okay. In Windows, that notepad, right? There's notepad and there's notepad plus plus. If you use notepad and you paste this there, you won't see any colors. You just see text. Okay, I think I have something I can use. Let me use Word documents. Let me see if this will be open. Hold on, I'm trying to open a Word document so you see what it looks like. And that shows the advantage of text editors to just a normal writer this thing. And if I paste it here, can you see? There's no color, no difference. This will still work. I can use this to edit my code and it will still work, right? But it wouldn't help you because now you don't know if you have closed the tag or not, right? Compare this to this, where you know that, oh, there's a closing tab here to this, there's a closing tab here to this, right? You'll see that they are different, right? They are different. So basically, you want to use a text editor while writing your code. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. Can I ask another question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so after your doc type HTML, how do you know the next thing that is going to follow? How do you know that it's HTML head or title? How do you know that that's the next thing that is going to follow?
Okay, so like I said before, right? Apart from these ones in the body, right? Apart from what is here, every other thing, let me even remove this. Let me remove it and put it somewhere else. Every other thing here is the same everywhere. So the way I'll write it, say you write it the same way, Christian will write it the same way, Lana will write it the same way, Eunice will write it, right? Every time. So you can just copy this. In fact, let me paste it in the group so that you can use it. Where's the group? Good. So you can just copy this and put it in your file. Then all you need to do is start writing your tags here. You can just say your P tag, close your P tag, and say test, text, and do that. Right? So everybody that writes code or writes HTML, after writing your doc tag, you write your HTML this, you write your head this, you write all of this, then inside your body is when you now start writing your code. Do you get that? So you can just copy and paste it. You don't need to cram it in your head. When you copy and paste it, copy and paste, copy and paste it, after seeing it every day for like 6 months, you will know it.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be different from another person, and it's still the same thing.
No, it doesn't. It's still the same thing. If you check those websites, let me see if they would have it. I'm not sure. Well, let me see. Check those websites. Oh, yeah, they have it. Can you see? See, doc type HTML, HTML, inside the head now, they have so many other things. Remember, I said there can be other things inside. But one thing to know for sure is you have this meta chasset, UTF-8. You have, where's the title? You have title here. You have the initial scale 1.0, this viewport. Then you can have all these other things, basically. But most importantly, you have to add all these things, and that's the order before the body. Now, inside the body is where you now add the rest of your stuff. If I go into brackets and check their own elements, you see that it's still the same thing. Doc type, HTML, lang, key, then inside the edge, you have the meta assets, you have the viewport, you have the title. So you don't need to worry about that. It's the same thing everywhere.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions? Awesome. Awesome. That's good. So let's leave GitHub for now. We'll talk on GitHub later. I don't want to bombard you with a lot. And then the recording of this class didn't start from the beginning. It started from VS Code. With the recording from Frontend and Backend wasn't there. Sorry about that. So please remind me next time. So your assignments, install VS Code and also install Notepad++. Then extensions like this, install them in your VS Code. Then create a simple HTML file called index.html with the basic structure of def type, HTML head and body. Include a heading, paragraph, and an image. So you can Google how to add an image to your HTML. When you do all of this, drop in the chat box that you've concluded your assignment. Remember, you have to submit before Friday, right? So drop in the chat box that you've completed it out, tell you how to submit. Do we understand? All right. All right. All right. That's good. So thank you very much for joining our first class. I hope we enjoyed it. And if you have any questions while watching the video, drop it in the chat box. Don't hesitate. Just drop it in the chat box. I want to see questions. When I see questions, it makes me know that you're actually watching the videos and you're actually learning, right? Because the point is for you to learn. I want you to learn, right? So I want to see questions. Then I'll be able to assist. Thank you very much, everyone, and do have a nice day. See you next week, Saturday.